Today we're going to read a really cute Valentine's book called A Valentine for Norman Noggs. Norman Noggs was in love. He sat in the third row, second seat, just behind the new girl in class. If I'm lucky, Norman thought, Wilhemina might turn around and ask me for a pencil. He drew a heart in the margin of his math paper and smoothed his tiny hamster whiskers. Norman loved the way Wilhelmina's eyelashes fluttered like butterflies. He loved the lace on her dress and the buttons on her shiny black shoes. But Norman Noggs was not the only one who wanted Wilhelmina to notice him. Look at Norman there, drawing a little heart on his paper. So who else was interested in Wilhelmina? At recess, Richard carried two kindergartners across the playground and dropped them right in front of Wilhelmina. "I'm the strongest, toughest person in the whole class," he said. Too bad I'm not as tough as Richard, thought Norman. He helped the kindergartners find their way back to their teacher and showed them where to line up. "Thank you," she whispered. Just the sound of Wilhelmina's voice made Norman's stomach feel wobbly. He is strong, but I'm not so sure that's very nice. It was good that Norman helped out to bring him back, and Wilhelmina liked it. That's nice. Good job, Norman. Well, during lunch, Arthur ate 5 pieces of pizza, 2 helpings of macaroni, and 6 oatmeal cookies. Goodness gracious. "I'm the biggest person in the whole class," he said. Too bad I'm not as big as Arthur, thought Norman. He showed Wilhelmina where to put her tray after lunch. "Thank you," Wilhelmina said quietly. Looking at Wilhelmina's brown eyes made Norman's knees start to buckle. That was really nice of Norman. That night, Norman did 25 push-ups and ate 2 helpings of mashed potatoes. Oh goodness, look at those mashed potatoes. Then he ran around the house until his legs felt like noodles. Ooh, looks like that wasn't very fun. Then he looked in the mirror. His hamster feet looked small in their little red tennis shoes. I like his shoes. His ears look no larger than apple blossom petals. "This might take a little time," he said. Norman's looking to get bigger quickly, but I'm not sure it happens quite as fast as Norman wants. Every day Norman worked hard. He ran from the grocery store to the fire station before breakfast. He ate broccoli and Brussels sprouts. He did jumping jacks and somersaults. Every day he stared at the back of Wilhelmina's head and hoped she would turn around. Just staring at her. Ooh, but he's eating his broccoli? And I guess as he was looking at the back of her head, he started thinking, "I'll bet she doesn't even know my name." He wrote his name in extra big letters on his paper just in case. I think we can see here where he wrote his name, Norman Noggs. Well, Richard carried Wilhelmina's books to the music room. That's Richard there carrying her books. And Arthur scored the most points in gym class. Arthur playing basketball. Norman helped Wilhelmina find her blue mitten before recess and explain the homework in social studies class. Well, that's nice. Found her mitten, and then he's explaining things to her. "Thank you," Wilhelmina said. Norman felt his insides slide right down to his socks. Every time she talks to him, it really makes him feel different. Well, for Valentine's Day, I'm going to buy Wilhelmina the most expensive Valentine in the whole world, said Richard. Expensive Valentine in the whole world? Goodness gracious. But mine is going to be the biggest, said Arthur. Norman stretched his little neck up to make himself look taller. Well, I'm going to make her a Valentine with the best words, he said. Over my dead body, said Richard. Don't even think about it, said Arthur. Wilhelmina isn't going to get any Valentines except from us. Oh, goodness gracious. They're not being very nice to Norman. Well, looks like Norman's sad here, and look what he's thinking. Norman thought about what Richard and Arthur might do if he gave Wilhelmina a Valentine. Then he thought about how Wilhelmina's cheeks were pink as peppermint drops. I'll give a Valentine to Wilhelmina no matter what, he decided. So he cut out a red heart and glued white paper lace around the edges. And then he wrote, Wilhelmina, Wilhelmina, won't you be my Valentina? Oh, that's quite clever. Great job, Norman. Oh, then Norman tore up his Valentine and he started over. I guess he didn't like that. Then he wrote, Wilhelmina is as sweet as candy. Wilhelmina is as nice as pie. Wilhelmina is just so dandy that she makes me want to sigh. Then Norman sighed, and he tore up that heart too. This is going to be harder than I thought, he said. But Wilhelmina is worth it. Look at Arthur, he's saying, he's frustrated because he wants to make the perfect Valentine for Wilhelmina. But I think those look just fine. Well, on Valentine's Day, Norman carried his Valentine to school. He finally made one and he decided he'd bring it to school. He thought he saw Wilhelmina peeking out the window as he walked by her house, but he wasn't sure. Well, at the corner of the street, blocking his path, stood Richard and Arthur. They looked big, thought Norman. Richard looked like a grizzly bear, and Arthur waved his arms like a gorilla. They are big, Norman decided. Yeah, they do look very big. I love the little Valentine alerting us to that there's a problem. Richard grabbed Norman's Valentine and threw it in the gutter. So much for your Valentine, he said. Oh goodness, look at that. He threw it right on the ground. Norman tried walking past, but Arthur grabbed his notebook. Look, said Arthur, he's got another Valentine hidden in his notebook. Goodness, he found the other one. I made it just in case something happened to the first one, said Norman. Something's going to happen to the second one, too, said Arthur. He tore up the second Valentine and stomped the pieces in the snow. All of a sudden, they heard a loud noise. Looked like he's scared here. "Yah!" said something in a blue coat. Richard was so surprised he slipped on a patch of ice and went sailing into a mound of snow. "Yah!" the blue coat said. Then Arthur tripped over Richard's sprawling feet. Oh, goodness. Valentine likes that. He's saying, wow, who is this person in the blue coat? They took care of both Richard and Arthur. Wow. Norman smiled at the person in the blue coat. Would you like to walk to school with me? He asked. I'd love to, Norman, said Wilhelmina. I'm still the toughest, shouted Richard from the snow pile. And I'm still the biggest, yelled Arthur. The bigger they are, said Wilhelmina, the harder they fall. Yah! Screamed Richard and Arthur. Run for it, Wilhelmina shouted. Norman grabbed Wilhelmina's hand and ran as fast as he could, pulling her along behind him. They were at their desk before Richard and Arthur had even reached the playground. Look at the little Valentine running. Well, that was definitely a surprise. Wilhelmina turned around and smiled at Norman. "If I teach you karate, will you teach me to run as fast as you can?" she asked. Norman's tongue wouldn't move at all, so he nodded yes. I can tell Norman's very happy. "This is for you," said Wilhelmina. Just looking at the envelope made Norman's head feel woozy. He was getting a Valentine from Wilhelmina. What did it say? "Dear Norman, thanks for being my friend. Will you be my Valentine? Love, Wilhelmina Stitch." Wow, what a surprise. She actually gave Norman a Valentine and wanted him to be her Valentine. Well, that's great. It must have been all those times that Norman was so nice for her. Norman read the Valentine twice before he could even believe what it said. Then he unpinned the third Valentine he'd made for Wilhelmina. Arthur, looks like they only had 2 Valentines that they were able to destroy, but Richard and Arthur couldn't get the third one. Good job. So Norman read the Valentine and it said, "Wilhelmina, be my Valentine. Love, here are some words you remind me of. Flowers, angel, dainty, stars, your friend, Norman Noggs." Before handing it to her, Norman added the words strong and smart. So he added some more words there, probably because of what happened that morning. Well, he watched as Wilhelmina read the Valentine. It looks like they're watching too, Arthur and Richard. And as she read it, she smiled at him. Norman Noggs blushed like a pink candy heart. Looks like she enjoyed his Valentine. Oh, she sure did. And they're holding hands. And look at the little Valentine, and he's saying, "True love." What a great book. Good job, Norman. In the end, he was able to be her Valentine by doing all the nice things that she was looking for, not for being the biggest or the strongest. Great job, Norman.